The instant the cinder-block wall of the barracks locker room echoed with the sickening thud of her head hitting the floor, every single voice in the room choked on the air, but not his. The fight was over before it began. One girl, already motionless, sprawled among scattered uniforms and gym bags, her glasses having skittered beneath a bench. It was supposed to be a warning, a brutal initiation for the new recruit, Maya, a lesson from the veterans that things were going to be hard and they were going to be cruel. But the three girls standing over her, one of them still shaking her hand out from the impact, didn't know two things. First, that Maya wasn't just new, she was running from something, desperate to belong. And second, that in the tiny, dark office tucked away at the end of the hall, Staff Sergeant Ben Carter, a hulking shadow of a man they called the Ghost because nobody ever saw him move or speak, was just waking up from his nap. The veterans, led by a wiry girl named Riley whose eyes were always too cold, moved to drag Maya's limp body out of sight, whispering savage, breathless threats about what would happen if she reported it. The silence in the room wasn't just shock, it was the heavy, complicit silence of a system that would cover for its own. Maya had only been here for 3 days, and the humiliation had been immediate. Her lack of speed, her slightly mismatched uniform, her quiet, nervous energy, it was all fuel. They had cornered her, calling her a liability, telling her she didn't have the grit for their corps, throwing her new, precious belongings, the few framed photos and letters she'd brought, into the filthy shower stall. The escalating torment culminated in a vicious shove, a cold, calculated act of dominance designed to shatter her will. As Riley's hand clamped around Maya's ankle, ready to haul her away like a bag of trash, a sound cut through the tense, shallow breathing of the onlookers, the slow, deliberate click of a door latch down the hall. Every head snapped toward the sound. The air seemed to thicken, pressing against their chests. Then the office door swung open, revealing the immense frame of Staff Sergeant Carter, a man who, rumor had it, had spent 7 years in a SEAL team, serving in places they weren't allowed to name. His uniform was impeccable, the sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms corded like rope. His eyes, usually distant, were fixed on the scene, on the 3 veterans, on the prone, lifeless body of the new girl, and on the smear of dark red on the pale tile floor. He didn't yell, he didn't even move fast. He simply took one impossibly heavy, decisive step into the hall. That's all it took. The atmosphere in the locker room didn't just change, it snapped. It was the feeling of a predator you thought was asleep suddenly opening its eyes. Riley's face, a second ago twisted in a sneer of victory, went utterly, horrifyingly blank. Her grip on Maya's ankle withered. Carter was a statue of pure, coiled menace, his gaze burning through the 3 girls like a laser. He didn't need an explanation. The violence was screaming at him from the scene. All 3 of you. His voice was a low, sandpapery rumble, completely devoid of inflection, yet it cracked the tension like a whip. Now. They moved instantly, a terrified, clumsy scramble. They knew that look. That look wasn't rage. It was the absolute focused clarity of a man who had seen true combat and knew exactly how to dismantle a threat. He didn't even glance at Maya. His eyes remained locked on them. "You think this is how we do things?" he asked, his voice still low, dangerous. "You think you earn respect by beating the weak? You think you're tough?" He took another slow step toward them, and they instinctively flinched, pressing themselves flat against the concrete. The shame, the humiliation they'd tried to inflict on Maya was now a physical wave crashing down on them, magnified 1,000 times by the terrifying presence of the staff sergeant. He stood directly in front of Riley, his shadow engulfing her, and he didn't raise his voice, but the words were ice. "You just assaulted a fellow service member. You left a blood trail on my deck. You are finished here." He turned his head slightly toward the door. "1 minute to gather your personal effects. You are currently under arrest. Do not speak. Do not touch anything but your own belongings. Move." The words were an order, a sentence, and a funeral all at once. The 3 veterans, their faces ghostly white and slick with sweat, didn't dare look at each other. Their power, their petty, cruel authority, had just been extinguished in seconds by the silent wrath of a genuine warrior. As Riley fumbled desperately with her locker, the sound of her own shaking keys a deafening indictment, Carter finally dropped his gaze to the motionless Maya. He bent down, with a surprising, gentle care, and scooped her up into his arms, like a parent carrying a sleeping child. He simply carried the new girl out of the room, past the stunned onlookers and the 3 disgraced veterans, toward the safety of the medic's office, leaving behind nothing but the silence, the overturned gym bag, and the profound, earned satisfaction of swift, absolute justice.